Back in 1991, Sega released an arcade game called Rad Mobile, a superscalar racing game that had you racing across America from Los Angeles to New York City. The game had you conquer a total of 20 stages on your nationwide trek to become the one and only Top Rad. To me, Rad Mobile has a special place in my gaming heart, as it was one of the most fondly remembered arcade gaming experiences I had growing up. I was about 7 or 8 years old when I first played it during a family trip to the local arcade, years after the game came out, and I was totally blown away by it, even after seeing more graphically advanced games like Daytona USA 2. To this day, I still go back to that arcade to play through Rad Mobile, when I'm not constantly dominating Daytona USA 2. It's still a fantastic racing game to play to this day. Also, a little fun fact, Rad Mobile was the very first video game that Sonic the Hedgehog appeared in, as a little swinging hood ornament, which is pretty neat. It wasn't until years later that I found out that Rad Mobile was actually ported to a home console, and not just any home console, but it was for the Sega Saturn, in a different region, under a totally different name. Gale Racer was released for the Sega Saturn in 1994, only in Japan, and has the honor of being among the very first titles released for the system. It has the same setup as the arcade counterpart, you're racing across America from Los Angeles to New York City, but this time the developers attempted to give this game a story. You are the Gale Racer, a man who can only be described as the personification of speed itself. If that doesn't sound totally rad, I don't know what else to tell you. Recently, other drivers have been claiming to be the real Gale Racer, so one day you receive an invitation to take part in the Saturn Rally, a race from Los Angeles to New York City. Oh! Only the winner can truly be named the Gale Racer. And that's pretty much it for the story. All this is told in the beginning cutscene, which has some pretty cool FMV. Maybe a little too much FMV. Sega seemed really proud of their FMV work, that a majority of the screenshots on the back of the case is from the opening FMV sequence, with only one in-game screenshot on the back. Anyways, now that we got all that out of the way, just how is the actual game? Well, not very good. First off, the controls are not that great. You see, your car moves pretty sluggishly around turns, which mean you're constantly understeering. Not even the brakes can help you through a turn really. Fortunately, the game can be pretty forgiving when you're going through tight turns, as you seem to bounce off the walls with ease for the most part. Still, the sluggish controls can be really annoying at times. Other than the controls, the main downfall of Gale Racer is its presentation. The graphics are very odd beast. The game still retains the superscalar style of the arcade game, but the rival cars and regular traffic are all fully polygonal cars, which for a game like this is very bizarre. Unlike the arcade game, which has a far draw distance, Gale Racer's draw distance is very short, with rival cars and other drivers just popping up out of nowhere. For example, you can be driving at full speed down a straightaway, and then all of a sudden a car pops up in front of you. And thanks to the sluggish controls, your car just doesn't react fast enough to get out of the way, making for a very frustrating first-time experience. This is a game that's meant to be memorized, so that cheap hits from unexpected cars don't impede your progress. Another annoying thing is that after each race, you go into a result screen that takes you out of the game. Each of the 20 races lasts about 50 seconds, so it gets very annoying when you have constant downtime in between roughly 1 minute of gameplay. The arcade game doesn't feature the results screen, and just has you drive into the next race. Sometimes shortcuts even appear during these moments in between races that take you to later parts of the game, but thanks to the results screen, these are absent in Gale Racer. What did survive this port of the game was the ability to use the different features of your car. When prompted by the game, you can activate your headlights and windshield wipers to help you navigate through rainstorms and pitch black darkness, which is pretty neat. One thing that Gale Racer did that wasn't in Rad Mobile was introduce boss battle-like levels. For instance, the Cliffside Mountain level had you racing an 18-wheeler that's trying to ram you off a cliff. Chicago has you racing a car that's just trying to make your life a nightmare by constantly ramming into you. And my personal favorite, near the end of the game, you're racing against dueling synchronized Porsches. All of this culminates into a ramming battle at the end of the game with the lead car. This isn't very well executed since the game doesn't really tell you that the only way to win is to constantly hit him until he crashes. Gale Racer also features a 2-player mode, but thanks to an even worse draw distance, it makes for an experience that's more frustrating than fun. While I can personally find enjoyment in this game because I'm a huge Rad Mobile fan, the facts simply can't be ignored. Gale Racer is a poor conversion of an arcade classic. The controls, the graphics, and the constant downtime between races hurt this game's overall appeal to the average gamer. If you are a die-hard Rad Mobile fan, it's definitely something to look into, but unless you have fond memories of playing the arcade original, like me, I simply can't recommend Gale Racer. If you're looking for a racer for the Sega Saturn, the original port of Daytona USA and Sega Rally are a million times better, and much cheaper.